What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Alpha 22 Magfed video. Today we are taking an insider look at a few ballers that I'm interviewing and their origin stories. So let's go ahead and take a look. Hey, Thom! Can you hear me loud and clear, sir?
Yeah, you're coming through 5x5, man.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having yourself here. Appreciate you so much. How was your morning?
Not too bad. I'm kind of off for the winter right now, but I was at work yesterday and the day before. So today I was able to sleep in. My girlfriend has the day off, so we slept in, made some breakfast, and I was just kind of getting my day going. Just got showered and everything.
Really good. That sounds like a comfortable morning for you.
Yeah, nice relaxing day.
Yeah, me too. I got all the kids are gone. It's quiet here. I'm the only one talking. My voice is vibrating everywhere.
Gotcha. I can't imagine having 4 other bodies in the house during the day.
It
that'd
gets
be crazy.
Pretty busy, bro. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Okay, so the main topic that we're gonna have is what is your origin story? It's a wide view for everybody to think about. So if you think about origins, it's everything leading up to the moment before Thom was the Big Red. Mr. Gordon himself stepped into the foot of the Magfed world, paintballing. How did you get to that point?
Sure. So I guess could start like from the very start. Like I'm from like a fairly normal middle class family. Like both my parents had like jobs, and my dad was a writer and kind of jack of all trades carpenter. Hold on, let me mute my phone here.
Maybe I
so
should...
my yeah. So my parents like good household growing up. My parents split up when I was 5, and my dad's kind of been in and out of my life, but I've always had my mom, and she's great, looked after me, provided everything. So when I was a kid, I was thinking of where I should start this, and honestly starts all the way back when I was like super young. One of the books that I'm a big reader, have bookshelves full of books right now.
Oh, really?
And in this place we got I got like 9 shelves that are all me, like one full bookcase. And then at my mom's place I got another whole half of my book collection over there still.
You're an avid reader then.
Yeah, ever since I was a little kid. And so one of the books that I really remember from when I was a kid was called Machines in War. And it had like helicopters and tanks, and like one of the ones that I thought was cool when I was a kid was the tank that carries a bridge on top of it. So it can fold the bridge out, and then it allows other armored vehicles to drive over it, right?
So yeah, that's intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was one of like the earliest books I remember from when I was a kid, and like Mighty Machines and stuff like that.
Right.
But I always remember being interested in the army and stuff like that. And my father has always been in military history and interested in that. And so that's just always been around. And like, I remember books on the shelf being like Patton, Montgomery, the Vietnam War, stuff like that, like biographies about generals. So it was just kind of the stuff that I grew up around. Right.
Wow.
So, and like even being a kid, I remember watching the History Channel, and like my favorite shows were Tour of Duty, which was like a Vietnam show, and then Combat, which was like a World War II show that was from the 60s that had like, it was an old school, like imagine like a sitcom, but set in World War II.
Oh, wow.
So they would follow the dudes through the campaigns, but there was all these weird morality lessons. Like sometimes you would have like one episode I remember, they're in a bunker in the middle of an artillery barrage, and they find out that there's Germans and Americans trapped in this same bunker.
What the hell?
And they actually like end up like kind of, they're not fighting. They're trying to figure out who's taking who prisoner. And it's a really interesting, like, I mean, probably stuff that never happened, right? But it was weird drama that you could put on a show in the 60s. That was like the weird kind of action drama show that they had. So that was kind of what I grew up and like running through the woods, like playing guns with my buddies, like pew pew, I
True.
got you, no pew pew, I got you.
It's nothing like
Like
being young when you're pretending to be a soldier.
exactly, right.
Yeah.
And that was just a huge part of my life growing up. And
Right.
I was always like a smart kid. And so I was always thinking that I would like go to school, do something, but in the back of my mind, I always kind of wanted to join the army or something like that.
Right.
And so it got to the point where as far as like paintball's always been a kind of on the periphery of my life and something that I've done. Like I remember the very first time I went paintballing, I was 9 years old, and it was for a friend's birthday party.
9 years
And
old.
it was for his ninth birthday party, and he
Wow.
had moved schools, and so we were all like all of his friends from his old school. He brought us to his birthday party, and we met his friends from his new school. Yeah, it was
An
weird stuff that
early
you remember,
introduction
right?
to your paintballing then, 9 years old.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that was the very first time I went, and it was awesome. Loved it. I remember telling my mom like best day I've ever had, and the memories of that day still stick with me in some
Yeah.
ways. Like I can still
Right.
picture in the back of my mind
Yeah.
those days, and it's a weird throwback for my region because that was one of the old Flag Raiders indoor fields, and
Right. They're
Flag
having a
Raiders is a
trouble
big
right
field
now,
in
aren't
my
they?
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And that like later on in my paintball career, that became my regular field. So it was really interesting that Flag Raiders is where I started, right?
Right.
And then that became my regular field when I got into paintball as an adult. It's
That's a
really
pretty intense
interesting.
place to start.
Yeah, it was an indoor field. It was super dark, and I remember like sand on the floor and everything was wood
Yo.
bunkers just coated with paint, but just
Wow.
a blast, right? And
Yeah.
so when I was about 13, we had a paintball field in our local town, and they offered this special deal where they had a reball field upstairs, and then they had a rec ball field downstairs.
Reball
And
field.
so, yeah, yeah. So, well, because at this point in time, like paintball was pretty popular, and
Right.
reball was a good way for speedball guys to practice
Oh, I
because you
see.
didn't have to pay for paint, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so and it's an astroturf field, and like super clean, and
Wow.
and the balls would like wouldn't break, right? So it was super clean field and great practice facility. So
Oh,
I would assume so now that
right.
I know what I know about paintball, right? Back when I was a kid,
Right.
we looked at it as a great way to go play for cheap because you didn't have to pay for paint.
Right.
but but you needed a marker, and it was $25, and you could play all day, but it could only be
Hmm.
on what would normally be a school day. It was never on holidays and never on weekends.
Oh, I see.
So the only times we got to take advantage of that would be snow days.
Wow. Eh?
So on a snow day, me and my buddies, our parents would still have to go to work, and me and my buddies would get together, get our money together, and we would go to H&H.
Oh.
Oh man, I'm actually like I'm tearing up a little bit.
Wow, that is
Oh,
crazy. That, but though you know
just
those. This is the why. This the origin is so well. It's like there's so many woven stories that you can come out with, and it could just take
mhm.
that one something, and then it could remember when it's the best moment of your youth, and it could be the epitome of why. And this is what I was trying to get at because it goes deeper than I know because we both have a personal thing inside of each other that we feel that paintballing needs to be a part of our lives.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Now, no worries, man. Take your time.
So yeah, like paintball has always been a big part of my life in a big way.
Yeah,
For
don't
me
worry.
to like blend those different parts of my life, right?
Hmm.
To have I was always an athlete. Oh man. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to give me a
That's
second. I
okay
don't know
because
why I'm so emotional.
there's passion inside paintball. There's always been passion in paintball because it like look at what we're talking about. These are things that we cherish a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah. Whew. So, okay. I would say that paintballing is a good blending
Hmm.
of multiple things that have been important to me all throughout my life, right?
Hmm.
Kind of the the idea of the military and tactical, and that's why I love
Right.
Magfed.
Yeah. Magfed.
And the physical exertion, and because I've always been an athlete throughout my life, my parents always needed stuff for me to do while they were at work. So I was always playing some kind of sport or in some kind of activity.
Wow.
That's where cadets comes in. Like I was in the cadet corps, so I was busy on at least one night a week, right?
Right. Right.
And so that was like a lot of my life was needing physical activity and group activities to keep me occupied.
Right.
And paintball kind of encapsulates so many just different aspects of my life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the reason I guess like oh man, it's just thinking about those times that I had with my buddies, it's super vivid memories of dudes who I don't really talk to anymore. So
Yeah. It's a
oh,
tough. It's tougher
that's
times these days.
yeah,
Definitely.
like I mean, life pulls you in different directions, and
True.
everyone's got their own paths, kind of deal, right?
Yeah. That
So,
is right. That is right.
but yeah, it's just I'm super grateful for those moments, right? And I
Right.
remember always like I would always ask my mom, like, Mom, I want a paintball marker so bad. And she couldn't
Shit.
feasibly, like, she didn't want me shooting people kind of deal. And she didn't want to give me guns.
That is
Kind
so
of
cute, man.
she knew how much I loved it all, but she
Right.
just didn't want to like having guns in the house kind of deal, that kind of idea.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
And
that's
that's a
awesome.
Canadian thing too. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
Canadian thing. So I remember like when I was I think 20, 22, 23,
Yeah.
and I hadn't been paintballing since I was 14 years old. I had a birthday party at that same facility, H&H,
Oh,
and we did it in the basement in the rec ball facility.
really?
Yeah, so like she was supportive in that she let me have a paintball birthday party, but
Cool.
couldn't actually have a paintball gun in the house of my own.
But you
So
played. That is amazing.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I played a bunch. Like basically it was something I wanted to do, but I just really couldn't.
Yeah.
And so every chance I had, I would go, but it wasn't until I actually was able to get my own equipment and actually get out there in that way.
Right.
So once I was a little bit older, I remember one of my buddies who I would go play the reball with, he had a birthday party, and or sorry, no, it was at his birthday. He got a gift that was one of those it was one of those stupid the guys who would set up in the mall. Oh, Delta paintball or something like that.
Oh, really? Delta.
So yeah, so they're known across Ontario as like being like scammers and jerks, and they
Shit.
basically imagine like if someone sold you going to a resort, right?
Right.
And say that they had like 12 resorts, and the way they sold you the resorts was showing you the pictures of the best one, but then sending you to the worst one,
Yeah.
right? So that's what Delta Paintball would do. They would be like,
Holy shit, really?
oh man, you can play on the best paintball field in the world, and with
Wow.
a landing craft with a ramp that lowers, and like with a will like make it like a helicopter insertion and stuff like that. Like, and that's how they would sell it to you. And then you would go to like the cheap local field, and we would be like, oh, where's the helicopter? And they're like, yeah, we don't have a helicopter.
What the fuck? No
So
way.
yeah, but
That's
anyways,
bad.
we kind of we didn't go into it with huge expectations,
Okay.
and it was just an excuse for all of us like 20 somethings to just go out in the woods, just shoot each other, have fun, right? And I kind of caught the bug a little bit. Actually, one of my buddies was better than me. He was a lot better than me. He kept
Yeah.
getting me out, and it made me think like, oh man, like I want to play this more. I want to get better. I want to be able to shoot that guy out.
Yeah.
So the like a couple months later, my buddy calls me up and he says, hey man, I got a Groupon. Do you want to go to Flag Raiders in Kitchener and play paintball like we did a couple months ago?
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, man, sign me up. So me, the buddy whose birthday it was, and then another close friend from high school, we all went out to Flag Raiders, and we just had the best day. Like the
Shit.
way that they ran it, they were such a good field. Like they deserve so much to reopen.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame
It
that what happened
is.
to them, because they're on feet. I'm assuming that they're on land that the owner wants to get developed.
Yeah.
So they didn't renew their lease, and they want to go back to their old location. And their old location, they were there because they had temporary use permits,
Right.
which
Just.
allowed them to use farmland for commercial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the city at one point in time said, no, you can't have your temporary use permit. And so they were removed from that location. They moved to the new location. And now that they've been kicked out of the new location, they want to
Wow.
return to their old location, but it involves getting that temporary use permit
Yeah.
approved again. And the city is dragging their heels again. So
Shit.
it sucks because they are such a good field, just such a great part of Ontario paintball.
Yeah.
And like, I can honestly say that they got me into this sport and loving the sport as much as I do. Right.
Right.
So,
Yes.
and I feel like that's another thing that I always, like needed and found in sports and paintball was people to look up to, and like
Right.
people who, I could admire. And definitely Joe from Flag Raiders, I've always found to be one of those people. Like he was just so friendly and just wanted to see people enjoying paintball.
Yeah,
And that's
that's actually my
honestly,
next questions to you, coming from your humble beginnings, as opposed to who has influenced you to become this Big Red. You might have had this nickname for a little while, but for you to really introduce yourself to the world and these influences that were behind you,
mhm.
like who are these people? Were there a couple people? Was it a building? Was it your town?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so definitely Flag Raiders and Joe 100%.
Yeah,
And I would say
cool.
like paintball, I found has helped me come out of my own shell. I wasn't a very social person, and I like I was at one point in my life, and then I became quite introverted, and I found it really hard to make friends other than the friends that I already had.
Yeah,
And I remember, so I was out paintballing and I met these two guys, and we just kind of clicked, and we made a little Facebook group chat so we could
cool,
keep in contact with each other.
cool.
And I think it was like every third weekend we would meet up at Flag Raiders. And then the one weekend we were there, it was me and the two guys, and they say, "Hey man, there's these cool guys over there. We should go sit with them, and then three makes five, and then we'll have a bigger group."
Yeah,
And so we went and hung out with those guys, and those two guys who I met that day are still on my team to this day.
who were those ones?
They're so Brendan Hilliard and Dylan Churchill.
Wow, okay.
And Brendan,
Brennan?
he's our team medic, and he's such a great dude, heart of gold, honestly. Shirt off your back
So
kind
I'm
of guy.
gonna stop you there.
Shirt
I
off
remember
his back
watching the
kind of guy.
video from you and Tango, and you guys were running
Yeah.
around at I think it was I like to say it was Flag Raiders, and it was actually your guys' medic. You guys were condoning him for all his hustle in the winter.
Yeah.
One of
Okay.
those
Okay.
videos, I can't
Nice.
remember what it was, but I seen like how much respect that you guys had for your meds. To a lot of people,
Mhm.
it's a game. To a lot of people, it's a sport, and to a lot of people, we mix those two, and sometimes our personal life. And when you see moments like that, even on the screen like that, you see how much people care about the sport and the group knitted aspect that people
Mhm.
give you. And it's also cool to
Mhm.
see. And I just remember that in my mind as you were talking about your medic. That's so awesome.
Yeah. He's a great guy,
Yeah,
great guy. And then Dylan,
Dylan.
his
Yeah.
nickname is Grandma. His nickname is Grandma on our team, call sign Grandma,
What?
because he's such a big like
Big heart.
no, well, he's a bit of a baby. He's a bit of a baby. He's a whiner, but
What?
in like in an old lady kind of
I
way. Like
see.
he's all
It's cute.
he doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to get dirty,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want us to make him run too much. He doesn't want to get too sweaty. But then he's the dude who buys the Max loader and has an A5 that looks like
Yo.
a M249.
Yeah.
I he sold the Max loader,
Oh,
but
did
yeah,
he?
so he's Yeah, so we would always kind of just give him a hard time. Like he was always whining,
Yeah.
but so we would just say, "Oh yeah, okay, Grandma, whatever you say."
Get your ass on the
Oh,
front line,
Darla,
man.
and Darla was the name of his M249. So that was our support weapon for a
Oh
while. Was
wow.
was
Yeah.
Darla?
Actually, I did
But
a thing on just a little while ago on Instagram about if you name your paintball markers, it is a he or a she. And I actually wanted
okay.
to, since you were talking about that, who's Izzy?
Oh, Izzy. So actually, so that's it's funny that you should say that. So I'm gonna out myself right now.
Okay.
So my marker, I liked the name Ezekiel.
Oh yeah, that's a dope.
And like I like the biblical
I know
name.
who that is.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was the name of my marker was Ezekiel. But I
Jeez.
felt self-conscious
Yeah.
that it was named a man's name. So I nicknamed it Izzy
It's in
for a
between there,
short form.
Unisexual.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that's funny, man. You actually got me to out myself on something that I've kept hidden. I've
That's
kept that a little
dope.
bit hidden.
Yeah.
So there's a little tidbit. And then so since I kind of like have switched up the marker from how it looked like
hmm
before, so now I call it the cricket
Oh no, really? Is it the
because
cricket?
yeah,
Is it like the
yeah, it's
MIB
the
cricket?
cricket. Well, it's I like to say it's a small package, but it makes a lot of
Okay,
noise.
yeah.
So that's why I call it the cricket.
I saw this guy in Silver Creek Paintball, Alberta, and I think he had an autococker, and I didn't know what it was right away because I wasn't paying attention. I had my mask on, and then just all I noticed was how loud it was. I just point over. It's kind of loud.
Yeah, a couple guys on our team have raging donkey tips, and
What?
they are coveted
Yeah,
in our team because it's a loudener. It actually makes your shot sound
that is
louder.
crazy.
Yeah, they're well known in the like the Magfed customizing
That is
community that
crazy.
if you want to be a real dick,
Yeah.
you put a raging donkey on the end of something and it just makes it so much louder.
Yeah, let's put that on for CQB.
Yeah, exactly.
Make
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
pop. Shit. Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll go on to the
so yeah,
next
those
one now.
two,
After
yeah,
your
for sure.
marker names, before paintball and all your uploads, your difficulties. You were talking about your difficulties earlier. Your introverted ways that you suddenly had adopted out of nowhere. But facing those difficulties, what led you to decide that paintball was ultimately your thing? And what is your personal mission?
Um, so I feel like I never, sorry. Okay. I'm starting and stopping.
Yeah.
I I really loved the sport of rugby. That was like the
Ah,
perfect combination of all the things I loved. I played football, I played lacrosse, basketball, soccer, um, badminton. I played all of those, and then rugby was the perfect combination for all of those for me. And it's the violence of it, honestly. Like
yeah.
I'm
There's no pads.
I, no, and
Nope.
but it was it's you get hurt less in rugby than you do in football because you kind of know the other guy doesn't have pads, so it's about good form.
Right. Okay.
And then so that's just the physical contact is about good form, and then it's about being tough because you can get dirty and that can hurt. It can hurt on both sides,
Right.
but sometimes you're trying to intimidate and sometimes you're trying to get the job done any way you can,
Yeah.
right? And so I find paintball is a very similar sport where it's on the surface seems extremely violent,
Yeah.
but it's really about fundamentals and about sportsmanship.
That is, you are on
And
point on that one. It is.
and on the higher levels you get to, it's about individual skill and game knowledge in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
like how to move, how to gunfight, like even though people don't necessarily like to use that term, like
Right.
that's how that's what I discovered when I played the Gulag event, the Lead Farmer Gulag event,
Right.
which
Yes.
was Magfed on a speedball field.
Right.
And the guys told me leading into it that it's a very way of distilling and crystallizing paintball down to its simplest element. and it's who can gunfight better.
Right.
And so I really, really enjoyed that. And it really helped kind of crystallize a lot of the ideas in my head about this, that
Right.
it on the surface seems violent, but it's so controlled and everyone doing it is so skilled that the level of injury in paintball is like negligible. Like
Yeah.
the worst thing that has happened on the many games that I've been to, I think there's been maybe a broken ankle, maybe a concussion
Yeah.
from like a bad shot to the head.
Right.
But the most severe thing that ever happens is heat casualties. Like at
True.
the games that we play in the middle of the summer in Ontario, it gets hot, people don't hydrate properly,
Yeah.
and then stuff happens. But other than that, it's such a non-violent sport, but it seems quite violent. And I feel like that's what I really enjoy about it, is like the aspect of kind of getting your aggression out and the catharsis that comes with paintball.
Right.
And I really like how it can be like, I can be a loud dude and I can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But I like the aspect of that's me on the field. And then once I'm off the field, I'm a humble, casual human being. And I love going up to people. And after heated exchange on the field, there's a number of times where I've gone to people after and been like, hey man, just so you know, like me on the field is a different person than me right now.
Yeah.
Love and respect for everything you did out there.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, in a PRZ final battle, we were battling over that middle road. And so what happens is there's slapsticks along the middle road and bunkers that are triangles with a plywood board running between the middle of them. And so you can be tucked in behind the triangle on your side of the plywood, and there's an enemy on the opposite side of that piece of plywood. Huh. And you're leaning, like as you lean in the plywood, you can feel the other dude's body on the other side. but you can't jump over or put a marker over like or melee over. Yeah. And even the rule is the second you cross half, you're out of play.
Oh, so you can't go further than that.
Exactly. It's kind of like the exact halfway point between the two teams is right where the slapsticks are. So you can touch the slapsticks, but if you go any more past half, then you're out and you have to go respawn.
Oh.
And me and this guy, we were on each sides of this bunker and there's paint flying and smoke grenades and FSRs, and our team had the slapsticks, so I'm talking trash to this guy on the other side of the bunker, and I'm saying, yo man, you better go get that slapstick. You guys are gonna lose if you don't start getting points. Like, just talking trash, right? And he gets up and he got it. He crossed and he got the slapstick. So he's in the next bunker over, and now his homie is now in the bunker beside me. His homie's talking trash like, yo man, he got it and he's still alive. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to get it myself then. So I get up and change it back to my team, and then now I've switched bunkers too, and now me and Buddy are on the opposite side of the bunker.
So now you're firing?
Like, well, we're like, so I'm diagonal with his homie, but the guy who just changed the slapstick is now in the same bunker that I am, because we would, like, as you touch the slapstick, you go from bunker to bunker, kind of back and forth, and forth.
I get it.
So you're kind of like run from one bunker, touch the slapstick, and then go to the next one. So I'm sorry, this is super confusing, but it's we are so close to each other, we can't shoot each other unless you're grabbing the slapstick, basically. And it's so quick and such a darting movement that we kept trading back and forth, but we're talking shit to each other the whole time.
You have a pistol doing it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a marker with me. I think they had pistols and I had my T-15. Okay. So finally, when the game is all over, like, we're all getting off the field, and like at points we, like, dudes would reach over and then the refs call the guy out, and it's like, hey, you can't reach over, and you're kind of yelling at each other about the rules. But then the second the game is over, I saw that dude and his buddy walking off the field. I went up to them and I was like, yo, thank you so much, because just how like intense you guys played that. made it fun.
Yeah.
Like the competition was what was fun for me, and the trash talk was what was fun in the moment.
I like
But the
that.
second it was over, I'm like, yo, you guys are cool. I'm cool. It
Man.
doesn't matter who wins or loses.
Right.
That was a good battle.
I think that's why we're
And
very
that's
lucky to have these experiences on the field, off the field, and be able to talk about these years later.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Years.
like, and that's what I enjoy the most is the good battle.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at is it's the struggle and the competition and the what looks like violence but is very controlled, and when you get to that high levels, it's so such a skill game
Yeah.
that when you really understand, it's not about violence at all.
No.
In a lot of ways.
No. I always get that when people talk about paintball, it's the child's game. And then you also have that shooting each other portion where it is aggressive, but then how do you mix those two? You're forgetting about us adults.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's Milsim for sure.
Yeah. Not
I
until
feel
we
like that's
show
where
up
Milsim
dressed
comes
like
into
one.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go over to the next question. Okay, viewers, I will stop you there. Please like and subscribe. Thom has a very powerful story, so keep doing what you're doing, never stop, and don't doubt yourself. But this is Alpha. Where is your origin story? What will begin with you? Talk to you later.